into difficult topics that people have issues with and don't discuss too much. So this year is the third set of talks is on money. So one of the things which we want to do is looking at community, enterprises, currency and local currency and whatever. So therefore it's good to have you here.
Yeah. Well, I'm Giriraj, as some of you have got. I'm a career bureaucrat, but this is my personal interest. What triggered my interest? Many years back, I think we should all, 40 years back, I think, there was an American who was a Gandhian and he came to India. His name was Richard Gray. So he wrote few books. One small book which I was not able to hear me, an American fellow called Richard Gray. So he came to India, settled here for a long period, 20-30 years. He was an engineer by background and he wrote a very small book called The Big Idol. This is on the entire money issues. And there he also was mentioning about this German inflation of the 1920s, which was one of the prime reason for Hitler coming. The inflation, morning you go, it will be one rate, in the afternoon one rate, evening one rate. If one reads the life in Germany in 1922-23, it's unbelievable. People used to go with big
Baskets full of
baskets of money and trigger the local economy. And this type of sudden boom in economy seems to be much more in the West, from whatever I see. India, I do not know, it's not there for other reasons. So I kept this interest, and I must thank C deeply. March 2006, when Rajini, a good friend, said Mr. Thomas Greco is coming and going to speak. So in fact, she asked me to accompany him for a day. So somehow I kept that interest, and then in June 2016, when Thomas put me in his mailing list, and then he said I was conducting a week course on this subject. I thought I would understand what is this creature, what is this beast, this money economy, because one knows in bits and pieces, but one doesn't know in a very comprehensive way, and it looks very high philosophy or high monetization economics. We all know, we feel the impact. So I would not say that I fully understood, but whatever I am going to share with you is what Thomas told. At present, money as we understand it, money is not the cash, is created by banks or governments in collaboration with banks. The government itself doesn't create money. For instance, the government borrows. What it does is, most of these state governments in fact are handling that portfolio. The state government runs deficit, the government of India runs deficit. How do they meet the shortfall? To meet the shortfall, the Reserve Bank issues bonds for and behalf of the government. This is purchased by the banks themselves. Now you may ask, why should bank buy these bonds? I am telling in a very basic way. They buy it because of the SLR, that is statutory liquid ratio. Every banks have to necessarily keep a percentage in bonds on an assured and in cash, and this is treated as liquid cash. So in other words, it's the saving of the people, whatever way or the organization, goes to banks, and banks take the decision. This is the most important point. Bank as an institution, the bank manager decided where to allocate. So this money here, we use it in the banks and governments in collaboration with banks create this concept of money. This money as credit, we often use this word as interchangeable here, is not easily available for people who really need it. Small and medium enterprises, they are always running short of liquidity, what we call as liquid funds. If you see, most of the units I have worked in financial organizations which used to give loans. Units collapse not because of the capital, but firte bandhal, as they say in Marathi. Liquid cash is not available. Even in the big market, as you know, the big companies again purchase from small companies and they try to also squeeze them with their credit.
Yes.
The suppliers, Pune people know very well, I don't want to say, because we have a big automobile industry here. So two categories in which many of you would be interested as social entrepreneurs, SMEs and poor section of society. Regarding SMEs, I just wanted to bring your attention to a very interesting book written by small and medium enterprises. One professor has written a very interesting book. He's an Indian person, Professor Vaidyanathan. He teaches, I think he might have retired now.
Bangalore.
Yeah, Bangalore IIM. He teaches financial management. He has written a book called India Unincorporated. India UMINC. He's also a statistics student, so there's a lot of statistics in the book. But what he's trying to say, I'm putting it in very simple language. What he says is, the total GNP of the country is produced from four sources. One is the government, 20%. The corporate sector, which is disproportionately blown, is only 20%. When I say corporate sector, it will be from the biggest company to the smallest company, but which is registered with the registrar of companies. But as you know, once again, if you go into the registrar of companies, 80% would be small companies. Only it's sort of a glorified partnership. You register as a company because the liability is not on you. Family enterprises, basically, private limited companies. That's about 20%. Agriculture, 15%. Though it supports 55% of the population, that's why there is so much of poverty in rural areas. 55, Baki 45, where does it generate from? This comes can be very from the SME. What does SME mean? Here it's a whatever is balanced. That would be from a small chai shop or a vegetable vendor or a leading lawyer who might be earning, per hearing in lakhs. Any professional, top class professional, across the spectrum, partnerships, sole proprietorships, they contribute to 45% of Indian economy. All of them work very hard. They follow 18 hours, 20 hours, many of these small entrepreneurs work. They were asked, what is your difficulty? They said, we have two difficulties. He studied. Can anybody say what are the two? One,
Credit access.
yes. Second, credit nahi mil raha sir.
Recovery.
Dusra, tax wala. That is the inspector. Somebody or the other goes on coming to our office. The second is poor sections of the society who are in the informal sector. I will not elaborate.
The informal sector also contributes to GNP.
Yes, this is 45%. What you are correct. Actually, this is part of that. What I said is, this is a more totally informal. SMEs are registered, they file some tax, something. This is the vulnerable section of
The soaps is.
If you see the history, any book on financial, monetary economics, slowly but steadily, governments and banks have usurped what was our communities. In America, this is an example. Lincoln, 1860s to 1920s, banks, there were local banks, they were issuing currencies. It was not, we always think government means only government should issue. But it seems from the history books, that area they will be their brand, they will issue. Only thing is, people will do exchange, they will say, oh, I have to go so far. So they will ask for a discount, otherwise they will have to go all the way to the banks. So they will, when they have to purchase, they will say, oh, this currency, this is from that state, I can't go so far. So give me 20%. So there will be again intermediaries who will take it to the bank. So a chain of intermediaries and healthy middlemen came for encashing this. In fact, in US, it is during the Franklin Roosevelt New Deal period that the virtual control of the government came over the financial system. I will not go into this. But sum and substance is how totally banks have usurped what was the communities earlier. This you can read in. Next slide. Now, when did how this printing of notes or borrowing started? Earlier, governments did not borrow. They had a balanced budget. This is my income from tax, and this is what I spend. And most of it would be on law and order or in keeping the military. But suppose there is a war, then they have to work. So, the relationship with the government of the day, the king of the day, and the bankers started during this printing of additional notes. Seems to have started only during a war situation. There is a book, I'm doing some asides, but that will add flavor to what I am telling. Paul Kennedy, the very famous writer, he has written on rise and fall of the civilizations, empires. He makes a very interesting observation. He says the war between England and France was fought in 3 continents in the 18th century. US and the American continent, there again the British one. Otherwise, even now Quebec is there, the remnant of the French. Actually, both had an equal stake, the British and the French. But eventually the British ruled the US. Then they became independent, that's a separate story. Europe, Napoleon versus Nelson. India, Clive versus Dupleix. You might have read in your history books. Ultimately the British won. This was a 100-year war in installments. Why did the British win? He says the French army was better, the generals were better. The French economy was much better than the British because it is naturally more prosperous country because of the size and the weather. British won because of the Bank of England from which they could borrow from time to time. That is, they had an institutional mechanism from which the French were very poor in banking. And they always never paid their soldiers on time, and their equipments were never renewed or whatever. And this is one of the reasons he mentions. So the appropriate institution, they made a very appropriate institutional mechanism, the Bank of England. There are other case studies I was just reading, how from time to time the governments have been borrowing during the war situation. Now, till post-war I, by and large, all governments had balanced budgets. Only when this development became an issue, particularly after the 30s, there has been an expansion in money supply, leading to government indebtedness, inflation, which affects the middle class and poor, and post-war 1950s and 60s, I need not say the money has been expanding, money or credit or whatever. So somebody mentions in an article in 1980s, and very relevant, he says 3 things are growing relentlessly. One is population in the world. Number 2, carbon dioxide in the air. And third is government debt. So in US,
All are related.
the debt is about 3.46 times of GDP. The figures are all there, it's all in trillions, it doesn't make any sense for us. And very seriously, there is no real intention of repaying these mammoth debts. If done, it will seriously affect or shrink the economy. There is also saying, it's nothing new, if I borrow a lakh from the bank, then I should be worried to repay. But if I borrow 10 million or some huge amount, the bank should be worried about. So this is the position. Some of the countries are so hugely indebted, others are worried about it. Next week. So who creates the credit? It's the market that creates credit and not banks, really. That is, the people create the credit, the trustworthiness. And it gets surplus. I just read out which I read on the way. A very interesting case. Human ingenuity in times of need has even led to situations where cigarettes have been used as money. In 1946, a year after the Second World War ended, American and British soldiers were stationed in Germany. Germans were desperate for cigarettes. It was a ruined economy and they did not have access to importing tobacco. So the American and British soldiers sold a part of their cigarette rations to the local Germans for Deutschmarks, which was the German currency. So they sold their excess cigarettes to the local community, got adequate money and retained their own salary or whatever they got as separate intact. This money took care of their local expenses and their salaries remained untouched. Anything that remained could always be converted into dollars and pounds. Now this is very simple. They were selling the cigarettes at a premium, getting the German marks and managing their local economy and remitting whatever they got back. Sometimes in September 46, the British and the American authorities at the helm of affairs in Germany decided to ban the conversion of Deutschmarks into dollars and pounds. Then what happened? This effectively ended the nice profit gain that the soldiers had going for them. But necessity, as they say, is the mother of all invention. Soldiers started exchanging their cigarettes for purchases they had to make locally. That means the cigarette they converted into a money. And this started selling as a local economy. So that means anything can trigger into a local economy, which we don't think. So for them, cigarettes effectively became money with their dollar and pound salaries remaining untouched. In the process, cigarettes became an economic value which was much more than their value if they were smoked just as cigarettes. So credit and money are, I hope are used interchangeably. So here Mr. Greco distinguishes between two types of credit, the finance credit and exchange credit. The finance credit is your long-term capital. Long-term from savings or taxation, which is to purchase equipment or any long-term asset. The exchange credit should be in a very different way from what it is now. The further part of this presentation focuses on this exchange credit. We need to understand that money can be created by us, not only banks. It's very, very important, and that is what is relevant for this presentation. That let banks do whatever we have. Just as in a city you have 100 types of hotels and same type of chai can be available. So this is my, that doesn't disturb the existing arrangement. We need to reclaim what he calls as credit commons.
Oh, nice.
While we do this, our effort should be consistent with all laws of life. Now, in a basic textbook of economics, what I read in college when I joined, that money performs three functions: means of exchange, store of value, and measure of value. Actually, the three functions have got mixed up over the years. Money as a means of exchange must be circulated. It should be in the mood. While money as a store of value has to be saved or put so that you use it for capital. It is like the farmer takes a little bit of grains to be used as seed for the next crop. It's two. Now, at present we are discussing only exchange function, and people need money for working capital. What is working capital? I may not elaborate. It's the time between expenditure of delivery and collection for the good or service. We do something, we don't realize the proceeds immediately. There is a waiting time. Even a person, so that for that period, some funds are required.